to a public hearing for discussion of the 2019 budget and appropriation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Bridget, call the roll, please.
Vice President Janner,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
Aye.
Commissioner Ensign,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
President Riley.
Yes. A quorum being present, I will now call to order the public hearing on the 2019 Combined Annual Budget and Appropriation Ordinance. The budget was prepared in a tentative form and made available to the public for inspection for at least 30 days at the Administrative Office of the Park District and on the district's website. A notice of this budget hearing was published in the Daily Herald on December 3rd, 2018, in accordance with the requirements of the Park District Code, and a notice in compliance with the Open Meetings Act was also prepared and distributed in accordance with all legal requirements. The purpose of the hearing is to give the public an opportunity to be heard with regard to the planned budget and appropriations for the coming fiscal year. Once public comments have been received, the board may immediately comment or reserve its comments to when the ordinance is formally presented for board consideration. The hearing is now open to questions from the audience. Seeing no one from the public in the audience, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing on the 2019 budget and return to the regular business of the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Bridget, call the roll, please.
Vice President Janner,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
Aye.
Commissioner Ensign,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
President Riley.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is updates and reports. First item is the Riverwalk Commission. Commissioner Carlson is not here, but he's asked me to read this into the record.
Technically, you've got a public comment.
Thank you.
There's no one from the
Do we,
public here.
do we have anyone from the public signed up to speak?
We do not.
Okay.
Check.
The Riverwalk Commission met on December 12th at City Hall. First item discussed was an update on Moser Tower. At this point, information is being gathered on the potential repairs on the structure. The committee will be discussing in January and February, with a recommendation coming in March. Progress on the J.C. Park has slowed due to the weather, but not before crews accomplished a large portion of the work. The park will be finished in the spring of 2019. At a subcommittee meeting, Rick Hitchcock of Hitchcock Design presented information to develop the north side of the DuPage River between Main Street and Washington Street, which would begin where the lantern is on the east side to Empire on the west. This area is part of the Riverwalk's master plan. End of report. Next report is the Parks Foundation. Commissioner King.
Yes, the Park Foundation will present the Naperville Park District with a check of $8,000 this week. This reflects the 2018 ALFest donations from Lou Dog Events. There's a Winter ALFest this Saturday, February 23rd. The next Winter ALFest is February 23rd, and will also benefit the Naperville Park Foundation. The Hobson Oak Project has brought the legacy of the Burr Oak tree to life and supported not-for-profit agencies, including the Naperville Park Foundation, with over $29,000 in revenues. Big thank yous to the artists and brewmasters for the creativity, talent, and generosity, and a big thank yous to the bidders as well. Please join the Naperville Park Foundation members Saturday from 11 to 3 at Solemn Oath for the release of the limited edition Hobson Bourbon Bale Aged Imperial Milk Stout. It's a mouthful, but it's good.
Thank you. Next is the Finance Committee, but I understand there is no report this evening. Next, Legislative Committee, Commissioner King, next meeting?
I don't have the date in front of me, but I know it's in January.
January 15th, 8:30 a.m. Next is Parks and Rec Committee, Vice President Janner.
The next meeting of the Parks and Rec Committee is scheduled for December 21st, 2019 at 10:30 a.m. in the admin building. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the President's Report. Tonight we have two important items on our agenda, the 2019 tax levy and the 2019 budget. While we will vote on these important actions this evening, these items are really in the wrap-up stage of the planning and budget process that started months ago. For several years now, we start the planning and budget process early in the year. In fact, it seems that once we approve one budget, we start discussions and plannings for the next cycle right after. Then we start on the budget to fund operations and plan projects. I believe this long development process has served the community well, as it allows your elected commissioners plenty of time to understand projects and ask relevant questions while allowing our professional staff adequate time to research and respond to questions. This unhurried methodology gives us time to understand the budget because we're involved in the months-long development process and have all that time to ask any and all questions we might have. We don't have to wait till the last minute when we're tasked with taking action on it tonight to gain clarity. Thank you. Next, our Executive Director.
Thank you, President Riley. Some things to talk about here. The 2019 Winter Program Guide was delivered to Naperville residents earlier this month and is now available in our facilities, or you can access it 24/7 online at napervilleparks.org. Registration for winter programs, including winter break camps, is now underway. Registration for spring Naperville Youth Soccer and Naperville Premier Soccer began this week and continues online as long as spots are still available. Santa House, presented by Woody Buick GMC, is open this weekend and then next week from Tuesday, December 18th through Sunday, December 23rd. Admission is free and photos can be purchased for $8 each or 2 for $15. Be sure to stop in and see Santa at the Riverwalk in downtown Naperville. No reservations are needed. A special thanks to our sponsors and volunteers who made this event possible. Naperville Park District invites the community to celebrate New Year's Eve at the Countdown at the Carillon, featuring both the early family countdown at 6 p.m., led by Dolly McCarthy, and the traditional countdown at midnight. Both events are free and take place at the base of the Naperville Millennium Carillon in Moser Tower, located at 443 Aurora Avenue. And finally, tickets are now on sale for Tarzan, the musical presented by the Magical Starlight Theater. The show will take place January 11th through 13th and 18th through the 20th at the Naperville Central High School Auditorium. This promises to be a great show with a cast of talented actors from our community. Tickets are available at napervilleparks.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the monthly treasurer's report.
Move to approve the October 2018 Treasurers Report.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Any discussion? Bridget, call the roll, please.
Vice President Janner,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
Aye.
Commissioner Ensign, Commissioner King,
Yes.
President Riley.
Yes. Next, we have the consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda?
Item 7.4, please.
7.4.
Move to accept consent agenda items 7.1 through 7.3 and item 7.5.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Any discussion? Bridget, please call the roll.
Vice President Janner,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
Aye.
Commissioner Ensign,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
President Riley.
Yes.
Move to approve consent agenda items as accepted.
Second.
We have motion and a second. This is a voice vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we then have one item under unfinished business.
Move to approve item 7.4, October 25, 2018 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion and a second. Commissioner Egan, since you asked this to be pulled, do you have any commentary? Any other discussion on the motion? Call the roll, please. Bridget?
Vice President Janner,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
Abstain.
Commissioner Ensign,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
President Riley.
Yes. Next item on the agenda is the 2019 2019 tax levy.
It is 2018.
Or 2018, I'm sorry, 2018 for 2019.
Move to approve ordinance number 948, 2018 tax levy totaling $21,182,139.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Egan?
Before us this evening is another tax levy that includes ballooning the levy. I finally received an answer after consternation from the executive director that the balloon is $280,000 in this levy. This is a pretty straightforward and simple calculation in my mind. Based on numbers provided by staff earlier this summer and a quick call to DuPage County, I was able to confirm that we overtaxed our residents last year $200,000 in addition to charging for things like credit card fees. So the ballooning effect this year is approximately $80,000 more than last year, pending the final figures in March, April. I wondered a bit more and went one step further and looked back from 2012 and added the CPI costs, no balloon, and calculated a levy at CPI only would have been approximately $16.5 million versus the $17.4 million levy, or $900,000 additional taxes that have just been thrust upon our taxpayers, or an anticipated $1 million in overtaxation in 2019. What do our residents receive for this overtaxation? Committee meetings that are not recorded. I believe a little sunshine is the best antiseptic. As we will discuss with the budget, 4% raises, 2 times the rate of CPI, unfunded pensions, low-cost health benefits, and pet projects like the 2 acres next to the library that, on a per-acre basis, appear to cost twice as much as that at Southwest Community Park. Employee get bonuses given to all employees a couple of years ago with no basis. It is time that we realize that the best place for a dollar is the taxpayer's pocket and not the government's. I invite my fellow commissioners to join me and reject overtaxing and compounding further harm to our residents, allow new construction to lower the tide for all boats, and say to our residents that your property right is not our property right by voting no to this levy. Thank you.
Any commentary from staff? Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Bridget, call the roll, please.
Vice President Janner,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
No.
Commissioner Ensign,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
President Riley.
Yes. Next item we have is ordinance number 949, the 2019 budget and appropriation.
Move to approve ordinance number 949, 2019 budget and appropriation in the budgeted amount of $54,830,769 and appropriated amount of $60,313,851.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Before I ask for any discussion from the commissioners, Sue, could you give us a recap of the process that we used in the budget process?
Sure. Thank you very much. As President Riley, you had mentioned earlier, it is a long process. We began our budget journey, as we do every year, beginning in July. We typically start with our capital projects open house, which gives the ability for a lot of public input into some of our upcoming projects, and we use that and then present that to the board to develop our 19 capital projects plan. Then as staff, we all get together and we do a budget preview, and we did that on August 23rd. The purpose of that is first to give the board an overview of where we are year to date and how things are coming along, so we have no surprises there, and also to provide a preview of what you're going to see later in the 2019 budget. Subsequent to that, we meet with each committee. We try and cover all of our board members on the committee. We met with the Parks and Rec Committee on October 19th and the Finance Committee on October 22nd. At those meetings, we provide summary results. By then, we have preliminary budget numbers. We go through assumptions for wages, healthcare, capital projects, and other things to give you a high-level overview. So again, when we come closer to the budget, you know what to expect and what is going on. Funding, as we talked about the tax levy, which we value our tax dollars significantly, and we use those we think very wisely, and a conservative fiscal basis. We, in a weekly packet on October 26th, we provide a tax levy resolution, which was then approved at the board meeting on November 12th, talking about the levy that we're doing earlier tonight. As far as our budget book goes, in that document, we then, now we have the ability, which is great, to do electronic copies of our budget, which we sent to the board on October 2nd, along with a request at that time for any kind of questions so we can prepare before our budget workshop. Just to make sure everyone got information, we also are still providing hard copies of the budget book, which we delivered on the following day, November 3rd. So once we get questions and we get responses back to folks, then we are ready actually for our budget presentation, and that's where staff gives an overview by department in summary of what our budget is, the one that you approved this evening, what that will be. We held that on November 12th, and tonight on December 13th, we're actually approving that budget. Our final step to wrap everything else up, which is very important, is by the last Tuesday in December, we file our tax levy ordinances with DuPage and Will counties, and we also file our budget and appropriation ordinance with the county clerks to wrap up this year's budget. Once this is complete, where we are now, you can expect we're going to be working on our 3-year plan. And as you had mentioned, we've already had discussions about the 2020 budget, so we're cycling right into that for our next planning year, and looking forward to getting started on January 1st with our new year. Thank you.
Thank you. This is obviously an important topic. We've all had several weeks to formulate questions, get them into staff so they can respond. Just go around and ask if there are any final comments. Start with Commissioner Todd.
No, I'm good.
Commissioner King?
No, I'm good as well.
Yeah, just to reiterate what you had said, President Riley, during your reports, the budget process, as Director Stanish just reported, is something that we work on all throughout the course of the year. For my part, I sent in several questions and comments, 16 of them to be exact, on November 8th, and within an hour, I received a reply from Executive Director McGurry that staff was on it, and they, in fact, gave me a comprehensive written report on November 9th, the very next day, addressing each point in red print, one question after the other. We then, on November 12th, further discussed many of these items in a meeting format with most of the board present, and so I think this year in particular. Every year, but this year in particular, I thought with staff's leadership, we did a great job of vetting this and asking questions and digging in, and so I'm very comfortable with where we are, not only with the process, but with this budget in particular. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Egan?
Absolutely. Before us is another budget that sets the tone for another year that has become the norm over the last few years, tax and spend. On one hand, we talk about how we champion our residents' needs and take care of what we have, but the budget includes a pet project next to the 95th Street Library that will be used for 1 or 2 seasons at best. The funds from overtaxation discussed in the levy could be driven to a facility to benefit residents on the south side for all seasons versus just 2. Staff has championed the idea that building a recreation center at Southwest Community Park doesn't make sense because it's more Oswego than Naperville. The confusing issue on this subject, at least to me, is staff advocates for alternative revenue like putting excessive amounts of taxpayer dollars into the eatery for alternative revenue that did not appear. Apparently, we were only interested in some alternative revenue and not the revenue from Oswego for those that live near the Naperville border. Furthermore, we have proven restaurants are not our forte given the reduced hours and move to vending machines at Fort Hill, where membership is so successful that we are expanding the footprint. While everyone has the right to be wrong, we have yet to see the financial postmortem that I have been requesting for at least a year on the eatery performance. Maybe there's a possibility to go back to the experts that we flew in from Boston to have the fees returned. In 2018, we spent an incredible amount of money to hire an expert to make recommendations about Naperbrook Golf Course. And when pressed, the consultant admitted that his expertise is not buy-sell type turnarounds, but to justify or rationalize keeping an asset. I don't know how long I would keep my corporate job or retain my clients if I did not consider as many possibilities as I could. For example, I wonder if we sold Naperville Golf Course, where people who golf there would go to golf. I believe it is a safe assumption that they would not give up the game. Maybe they would go to Springbrook, maybe to other tax-paying golf agencies in the area. Sounds like we could benefit our community by driving up tax revenue through greens fees at other courses, as well as allowing development to occur. If we sold, we'd have to have the added benefit of reallocating staff to Springbrook to ensure best-in-class customer service. Given full employment in the country as a result of great fiscal policy, it would solve some hiring issues. Commissioner Janner offered another great solution to reprogram the land into other things. Maybe it would make sense to have a driving range there, even though it is Bolingbrook, and a small 9-hole course and build an activity center there. We seem to forget the idea of a spoke and hub idea. Given the size of the city, smaller activity centers in various parts of the city make the most sense. I'm ecstatic that a Southwest Community Park is beginning. The residents have waited a long time for an amenity. Yes, there is life south of 87th Street. I remain disappointed in the lack of financial discipline to drive the lowest possible cost for our taxpayer. I took the time to listen to the recording of the Monday meeting where the budget was discussed. It wasn't the best recording, but better than nothing. Maybe meetings should be moved to this location so that the best recording can be obtained for our residents. Again,
Chairman.
a little sunshine is the best antiseptic. There was a lot of conjecture about how we did not know how much we would spend at Southwest Community Park.
Commissioner Regan, if you could wrap up your remarks, other commissioners want to speak.
Well, we've got all night, Mike. I'm almost done, though. There was a lot of conjecture about how we didn't know how much we would spend at Southwest Community Park, so it didn't make sense to bond at lower rates. And of course, there was the argument that we didn't have a plan. Oh, and by the way, it only saves $56,000. I believe the math changed from the April 2018 memo to the last memo, not considering the fact interest had risen at the time. The fact of the matter is that we did have a plan. Way back in 2013, preliminary planning had a budget of $8.1 million. We pushed the project, which was the right thing to do then, to 24-25, and estimated it would cost $12.9 million. We had a placeholder of $10 million this year and came to a budget of $11 million, and we'll start spending next year. The real issue here is we opted to take $11 million at a higher rate versus 10/11ths, or 90.9% at a lower rate, and the difference at a higher rate. The weighted average would have still benefited the taxpayer. To the extent staff did not want to put their operational budget at risk of abatement to pay for the debt, they have no problem requesting raises at twice the rate of CPI. IAPD dues are still included in the budget, and the executive director at IAPD, to my knowledge, still makes over $400,000 a year to manage a budget less than that of Naperville. Overtaxation of our residents allows us to make crazy expenditures like this. A yes vote for this budget is a yes for overtaxation, waste and pet projects, and skyrocketing costs at twice the rate of CPI. I believe we should live within our means, which is 2.1% CPI. In the corporate world, management is forced to come back to the CPI number. Why is Park District management any different? I cannot cast a vote for overtaxation, waste, and pet projects. We do not live in Cook County. As a result, I'm forced to vote
Commissioner
no.
Regan, how much longer do you think you'll be going?
I've got 2 more paragraphs, but I didn't realize we put a time limit on speaking.
Well, just with speeches, if you could wrap up, thank you.
I can lose my place, so you don't want me to start over, right? I just finished right here. We do not live in Cook County. As a result, I'm forced to vote no, and I invite my fellow commissioners to join me in rejecting waste and overtaxation. Moreover, we need to find a way to drive out costs without compromising quality, and the only things that will get us there, in my opinion, is leadership change and/or consolidation with the city of Naperville. Thank you.
Commissioner Ensign?
I'd like to move the previous question, please.
We have a motion and a second. Could we repeat the motion, please?
Well, Commissioner Riley, rather than it being a formal motion to close the question, which requires its own vote, is there any other discussion? You've sort of run the table. If there isn't any, then it would be logical to do it without having the parliamentary procedure.
So we just
Vote.
on the original motion?
Yeah.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, Bridget, call the roll, please.
Vice President Janner,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
No.
Commissioner Ensign,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
President Riley.
Yes. Ray.
I'd just like to say for the record, it would be too hard to dissect and respond to every single point that Commissioner Egan has made. But I will respond to one thing, and something that this board and the staff, and I would think the community should be very proud of, is the fact that I believe, Sue, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, since 2012, in totality, I believe it's 6-7 years, in totality, a Naperville taxpayer has paid about $57 in total since that time. Is that correct? I'm sorry, an increase. Let me preface that by saying that it's an increase. And since that time, we have added, and at the budget workshop, and I don't believe Commissioner Egan was at that, we spoke about the different facilities, the different amenities, the different programs that we have brought online. I think that I will put us up against the private sector any day of the week. Be happy to take that challenge. We're more efficient, we're more fiscally responsible, and I'm very proud of what the staff and this board has accomplished and continues to accomplish. So thank you for letting me pontificate for a minute.
Thank you. Next item is new business, which we have none. So we'll talk about future meeting dates and locations. Regular meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners, January 10th, 2019, 7 p.m. here in council chambers, followed by regular meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners, January 31st, 2019, 6:30 p.m. at the Fort Hill Activity Center multipurpose room. Next item on our agenda is executive session.
Move to adjourn to executive session to discuss personnel under 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Would you call the roll, please?
Vice President Janner,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Egan,
No.
Commissioner Ensign,
Yes.
Commissioner Todd,
Yes.
President Riley.
Yes.